Hear you. Perfect.
Lovely. I hope you can also see me. I don't know if it's the case.
Yeah, we see you perfectly.
Lovely, lovely. Because due to some technical issues, as soon as you put the Piotr joins, everything made one big kaput, and now I'm joining from my phone.
Yeah, we have been having some technical problems, but I think everyone
Well,
understands
fortunately, my
that
phone
we are
works.
at home and that we are not IT experts, we're trade experts, but now we're becoming IT experts as well.
Lovely, lovely. Um, can you also see my presentation, or is it not the case?
No, we are not seeing your presentation.
Okay, hold on a second. I will.
Meanwhile, you look for the screen on your presentation, you put on top share screen. I will give a brief of what we have been looking. So Mr. Piotr, he's from OECD. I said that it took me like 1 month to say your name, Piotr, but still not the surname. It's too complicated. He's working on the framework and two toolkits on how free trade zones should comply to be clean zones. There have been some unfortunate studies that show that there's illicit trade happening within the free trade zone, and that cannot be possible. That's not our goal, and we cannot show those cases. We all need to be working to be completely clean. So we're working with the OECD, designing two toolkits that he's going to speak about, and how to enhance transparency on free trade zones. Piotr, you change your. Okay.
Well, I would say that that looks pretty poor when I try to show the screen of my computer. But in any case, I'll rather do it than without PowerPoint. Sometimes PowerPoints I use as a shield. This time I will use it just myself. I hope it
Yeah.
works. So thank you, Kamila, for this very kind invitation. My name is Piotr Stryszowski. I know my name is not among the easiest ones, but I'm at the OECD, and I'm at the OECD senior economist managing the task force on countering illicit trade. This task force is an official OECD body that deals with, of course, illicit trade. But what do we exactly do? The task force on countering illicit trade sounds something like, I don't know, you can imagine people carrying guns, policemen. Well, this is almost not the case. The task force on countering illicit trade works with three main issues, and I would see our work like a house. The foundation of our work, the main thing that the task force deals with, is evidence. We are economists. I am a trained economist with a quantitative background. So what we do, what's our main purpose, is to provide to our member countries, to policymakers, trade ministries, enforcement officers in our member countries, objective facts about illicit trade, evidence, statistics. We want to measure illicit trade, just to say where these goods come from, where these goods go to, what are the main sectors, what are the main trade routes, what is anecdotal, what is big. That's our first thing. Once we know these facts, once we took all these pictures, then what we do next is we try to scope governance gaps that enable this illicit trade to emerge. So like going from taking pictures, we go one step further and try to take some deeper pictures, going in depth, and try to understand why illicit trade tends to flourish in some sectors, in some areas. I sometimes say that our work is like, peeling an onion from one layer to another, going deeper and deeper from general pictures to more concrete, I would say, problem-oriented ones. And once we have scoped some of these governance gaps, then we start policy dialogue. basically to address these gaps. But the way we want to address them is engaging all the stakeholders in inclusive and transparent dialogue. So if I had this nice opportunity of having my slide, then I would just show this slide, but now I'll do it in a very lame way, flipping my camera. So here you can see on this screen a set of studies, starting with the more general ones about, well, general pictures of illicit trade, going to some more specific ones about specific policy gaps or specific policy areas, really narrow ones, funneled ones. And closer to the scope of today's fantastic meeting, and again, thank you, Maria, for inviting me. One of these gaps was about free trade zones. So our research, when we started looking at illicit trade, we were going down, using quantitative analysis. At one point, one of our reports that was called Why Do Countries Export Fakes looked at a set of 7 or 8 variables that were supposed to explain propensities, why some countries that seemingly look the same differ with respect to the propensity of being big actors in illicit trade. And we found that even though free trade zones provide numerous benefits to businesses and host countries, it happens that some, and I highlight some, lightly regulated free trade zones are attractive to criminals engaged in illicit trade. And these criminals misuse this zone in such activities as trade in counterfeit goods, smuggling, or money laundering. At that time, we were only at the general, I would say, quantitative level. We found that on average, and here I say on average, one additional free trade zone within a country is associated with a 5.9% increase in the value of export of counterfeits from this country. So this is on average. This is pulling together all the healthy free trade zones and dirty zones. We also found that 1% increase in the number of firms operating in zones increases the value of exports, illicit exports from this country by 0.29% on average. So we found that on average, there is some issues related to some zones, right? But that was still the big picture from behind. And even today, when we look at our research, free trade zones tend to pop up from time to time. For example, last week, we've launched a study, Trade in Counterfeit Pharmaceutical Products, which is a very timely study, given current health crisis. And this study also found that some free trade zones are misused as transit hubs, as transit points in trade with counterfeit medicines, as repackaging hubs. But coming back to the finding that some free trade zones were problematic, what we did to go deeper into this issue is we initiated a policy dialogue with stakeholders to find out why some free trade zones may become attractive for traffickers. In fall 2017, we held a meeting in Alicante, Spain, at the European Union IP office headquarters, where we discussed our findings, quantitative findings, and we confronted this with experts' knowledge. So I bet some of you might be there. I remember we had our good friends from NAFZA, also from WFZO. So we had really experts in the field that could tell us, economists who know numbers, whether our findings were correct or not. And what we concluded that indeed some free trade zones might be attractive for illicit trade actors because of issues related to transparency or because of lack of, I would say, proactive collaboration with enforcement officials. So based on these findings, based on our quantitative findings and our dialogue with stakeholders, what happened next is we began policy dialogue that concluded in issuing a recommendation on countering illicit trade, enhancing transparency in free trade zones. This recommendation was adopted by the OECD Council on October 21 last year, and this recommendation is aimed basically to assist governments of those countries who adhere to this recommendation in deterring, in reducing illicit trade. This recommendation, what it does is it instructs governments in countries who adhere to, well, for instance, to provide the right competent authorities to require relevant data, documents, samples, and other information related to production, to movement of goods. So this basically stresses the need for transparency. This recommendation also requires countries that adhere to this recommendation to allow for competent authorities to take appropriate actions and measures in accordance with their domestic law. So here we deal with this misunderstanding that is sometimes present, that free trade zones are not within the jurisdiction of hosting country. This recommendation also deals with such issues like assurance that the entry and exit points of free trade zones are subject to competent authority supervision. For instance, that goods, person, and means of transport entering and leaving free trade zone are subject to effective controls. So long story short, this recommendation, what it does in the first instance is invites countries that adhere to this recommendation to impose higher transparency, to empower competent authorities, be it customs, be it financial intelligence authorities, to exercise and take appropriate actions and measures in accordance with their law. That's the one thing. So the recommendation invites adherence, recommends adherence to exercise this high level of transparency. But the second thing that this recommendation does, and that is in this recommendations annex, this recommendation also includes a so-called code of conduct for clean free trade zones. This code of conduct sets out a set of rules or for free trade zones that must be observed in order to be clean, basically. And this free trade zones, this code of conduct implies such points as unconditional access to these competent authorities in accordance with the domestic law, includes calls for proactive notification of competent authorities in advance of any industrial, commercial, or service activity taking place in these FTZs. This code of conduct also invites free trade zone for effective transparency in terms of data sharing. It invites free trade zones to maintain digital record that documents sales and purchases of all goods and services entering and leaving free trade zone, for maintaining complete and accurate records in accordance with domestic law of all commercial transactions, and of course, transmission of these data in timely manner to competent authorities. So this recommendation that was launched last year, it invites member country to maintain high-level transparency, to maintain competent authorities that will exercise enforcement over zones, and to stay proactive in collaboration, both internationally and internally, but also includes this code of conduct for clean free trade zone that is set out in the appendix that offers free trade zone, I would say, a set of standards that, that free trade zone should comply with. Now, of course, what happens is that this compliance of free trade zone will be assessed and monitored by a diagnostic tool that is currently under development. And within the task force, we have 1 year to develop this. Of course, given the crisis, this becomes a bit of a challenge, but yet work continues. So I would like to take this opportunity also to say that despite this COVID crisis and all these technical challenges that we are all facing with, this is not a question if we will continue our work in this area, but how do we make it in the most efficient and inclusive way. So I would like also to thank Maria for this kind invitation. I think this is a fantastic opportunity, as you said, for marketing, but also for awareness raising about this recommendation, about ways to improve the situation in some free trade zones, but also to create a more level playing field for those free trade zones that are actually compliant, that are clean, and are not willing to promote illicit trade in any area. It's a bit of a pity that I don't have right now in front of me or maybe I'll do it. If you want to have any questions, just drop me a line. You can see my name right now on the screen, or ask Google for Piotr OECD. I'll be more than happy to stay in touch with you, and also to take some questions, if any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just posted your email for. Let me do that right now, straight away, so that people that want to contact you directly can do it. And we will share the presentation that you were not able to show on screen.
I'm sorry for that.
The presentation. So two main messages that we really need, want you all to know is, first, the recommendations, and we have been sharing among our members, but I will send it to all of this list because this is above our members. So I'll send it to all of them. And also, once it's finished, the code of conduct, which of course is going to be very important. Actually, it was going to be the launch of the code of conduct in Paris, and it was when it was everything locked down. So unfortunately, we couldn't have the event for presenting the code of conduct, but we will send it to all of you. And of course, what Mr. Piotr is mentioning, we are talking about some zones. We're not talking about all zones. There have been evidence about some zones, and those are the ones that we want to track, because it's a petition from the US, from the UK, and you can correct me, Piotr, but it's mainly UA, Italy, France, European Union, which are asking for this because they found unfortunately, especially in Asia, they found counterfeiting and fake things in the free zones. And my message, and that's why I reached Piotr, is to say it's an issue that in Latam we're not seeing, not that much. And I came to show him, and we have been talking, and that's why he's here now, because we are becoming in a really close relation to show him all these good things that the free zones do. So thank you very much, Piotr. It has been 4 hours and 20 minutes live. It has been one of my biggest challenge in life. I've been in scenarios like virtual, presenting, but not this big and not virtual. And I'm going to post that this is a home virtual summit, home trade virtual summit, because there's no one to help like with technical things. But I mean, it has been great to have you. And just at the end, Gustavo, he has been the 4 hours here, so I will make him live now to say goodbye to everyone. So Piotr, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bueno, le voy a invitar a Gustavo. Lo que les decía, yo he tenido retos en la vida, pero este reto de hacer todo live, con streaming, me escriben por el chat, por el LinkedIn, por el Twitter. Ya estoy conectando acá a Gustavo. Ya se va a conectar para que hagamos. La verdad es que queríamos hacer las conclusiones del día, pero creo que ya han sido muchas horas. Lo que vamos a hacer es simplemente darles un mensaje de despedida y mañana nos conectamos, y cuando acabemos todo el summit, ahí sí vamos a hacer todas las conclusiones del evento. Ya estoy acá. No, no me apareces. Te puedes salir del link y volver a... Ya estoy acá hablando con Gustavo, pero no sé por qué no lo veo.
Si no aparece ahora ya en nada, lo dejamos, Cami. Vamos a ver. Ahora.
No, no me
Ya,
acuerdo.
me acabo.
Perfecto.
Ah, perfecto. Lo siento, la verdad es que
Yo sufro.
la tarde se ha hecho larga con los problemas técnicos, que por cierto, Camila, tal como te han dicho en el chat, enhorabuena por haberlo resuelto sola y en casa, porque esto de que cada uno esté en su propia casa sin ningún tipo de asistencia técnica, desde luego complica mucho las cosas y sin embargo, a pesar de los inicios, bueno, ha ido todo mejorando a lo largo de la tarde y lo importante, lo realmente importante es que hemos podido escuchar a todos nuestros ponentes, hemos tenido tiempo para dar una vuelta desde lo general hasta lo específico, desde cómo podemos abordar esta nueva estrategia de atracción de inversión extranjera directa, tanto en nuestra zona franca como en cualquier otro entorno, hasta hablar de aspectos tan sectoriales como puede ser el futuro de la actividad de farma a través del cannabis medicinal. Tal como decía Camila, la verdad es que yo me he conectado casi para despedirnos solamente porque al haber perdido algo de tiempo no queremos robarles más y que los tengamos aquí pegados a la pantalla más allá del tiempo que habíamos estipulado inicialmente, con lo cual mañana intentaremos a la conclusión de la última ponencia hacer todas las conclusiones, hacer un repaso general de lo que hemos venido hablando tanto hoy como mañana. Así que por mi parte, solo me queda despedirles, darles las gracias por haber aguantado durante toda esta tarde y esperando que haya sido muy productivo. Y a ti, Camila, bueno, pues darte la enhorabuena una vez más, sobre todo por la capacidad de resolver cualquier problema técnico, además de llevar el hilo de toda la conversación durante prácticamente 5 horas. Muchas gracias a todos.
Muchísimas gracias a ti por acompañarnos. Muchas gracias a todos los que nos acompañaron. Sabemos que es una maratón, pero La verdad, si a veces vemos una maratón en Netflix, ¿cómo no vamos a ver una maratón de comercio en este momento que estamos en nuestras casas? Por eso pensamos que es el momento perfecto para hacerlo, para repensar, para aprender, desaprender, volver a aprender. Además que todo va muy rápido, entonces tenemos que estar informados lo más pronto posible, lo mejor posible para tomar las mejores decisiones. Entonces, nos vemos mañana, misma hora. No se preocupen, esto quedó grabado, les vamos a enviar las presentaciones